And we're joined with our regular visitor, Ian Goodwin, to us here at the Monday Night Community Show from the Sheppey Coastguard. We normally catch up with Ian once every couple of months or so. Ian, now I'm aware that the helicopter came out at least 3 times in one day, and I've no doubt the listeners probably have seen it.
I was just reflecting on Cher. I once went to see her many years ago, and I'm absolutely sure she blew me a kiss when I was in it, and of course she didn't. I felt a bit of a plonker, really, but there you go. But that was before she went under the knife and had all her cellulite, all the wrinkles, and all that sort of thing all removed. But there you go. In terms of the Coast Guard helicopters, as I've just said, we are responsible for the initiation and coordination of civil maritime search and rescues in the UK region, and the Coast Guard search and rescue helicopter crews are some of the most highly trained operatives, and they are dedicated to saving lives in the most challenging of conditions. Every facility that the Coast Guard has at its disposal, especially during emergencies, is a highly valued resource, each providing a unique capability to respond to those in distress. Perhaps the most prized resource is the Coast Guard helicopter, which is designed and fitted to be used in a search and rescue capacity. Now, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency maintains a contracted helicopter fleet at 4 strategic bases around the UK. These are at Leon-Solent in Hampshire, Portland, which is in Dorset, very important because lots of divers, about 100 rescues a year, of course, are diving related on the Dorset coast, on the Jurassic coast, because of all the different wrecks which are there. Stornoway, which is in the Western Islands, and Sunberg, which is I can't pronounce it, Sunberg in the Shetland Islands. All are co-located and close to a Coast Guard Maritime Rescue Coordination Centre. Now, Coast Guards at each of these centres contribute in ways to the operational response and administration of each Coast Guard helicopter unit. These helicopters form part of a wider UK search and rescue helicopter force, with the remaining 8 Sea Kings of the Royal Navy and Royal Air Force being assigned to search and rescue duties by the Ministry of Defence. And the ones we normally deal with are the Royal Air Force from Wattisham, and it was the Royal Air Force that came out 3 times in the space of actually 24 hours. The Air Rescue Coordination Centre is at RAF Kinloss in Scotland and maintains control of all the Ministry of Defence assets and operates a 24-hour a day in line with the Maritime Rescue Coordination Centres. Now, it also coordinates the use of all military search and rescue assets, and by agreement with the Maritime Coast Guard Agency, we also help in those in incidents involving civil or military aircraft in distress, irrespective of nationality. It also controls the military contributions to search and rescue operations requested by ourselves. For land-based search and rescue, such as mounting or lake rescue, the actual control unit will coordinate all military and civilian search and rescue helicopters, whilst acting in support of the police, who have overall authority. So, in civil maritime search and rescue, which may involve the response by surface vessels and aircraft, overall coordination of the incident is the responsibility of the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency through its networks of Coast Guards. Now, in the past, Coast Guard helicopters have been provided by Bristow, in particular through the Sikorsky S-61, which during its long service on the south coast became an icon due to its notable media and public image. Effectively recognised as India Juliet from Solent and Victor Alpha from Portland, the presence and notoriety of these helicopters was further enhanced by numerous appearances in the popular BBC TV series Seaside Rescue. And 3 years on, the Coast Guards on the south coast are still engaged by passers-by and professional colleagues who reminisce about those two particular helicopters. And the only other thing I'd like to say is, in essence, all helicopters, when scrambled, to a search and rescue incident are in the air within 15 minutes by day and 45 minutes by night. But in reality, the ability of all crews to respond much faster than these target times instills a high degree of confidence in the Coast Guard requesting helicopters. And they are important because we do request them for mud rescue, we do request them for cliff rescue. We've even requested them in the past, going back a number of years, to rescue a donkey which had tumbled down one of the cliffs as well. So they've got a multitasking role, these helicopters. Yeah. And we've just had a question. It says it's from Roger, is it Terms or Thames? Roger Thames? Yeah, Roger Thames. I have a question for Mr. Goodwin. Is it okay for a friend of mine to let flares off at a New Year's Eve party in his garden in Sheerness? And the answer is absolutely not. Full stop, end of story. Yep. It's illegal, it's against the law. You only let flares off if there's a distress situation. So please do not do that, because it will be seen. It will be seen by a number of people, and the Coast Guard will get called out to it because they hang in the air. They're not like a rocket where they just go up and explode. These things have got a phosphorus substance at the end, which comes down on a parachute. Now, it's interesting because only last week I noticed some things going off in the air, thought there were flares, and there were Chinese lanterns, and they were at Minster Beach last week, but the person who was in charge had already told Thames. So the answer to that one, Mr. Thames, is definitely not. Please do not do that. No letting off of flares on New Year's Eve.
Ian, what safety advice do you have for us this time?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you travelled up this evening tonight, but if you're coming along the Medway, Ian reported it earlier on about the traffic conditions there. It was very foggy. It's also gone cold.
Very cold today.
Very cold today, and I did notice a number of vessels, you know, fishing boats were out on Sunday, and I did notice quite a number was still there. The main thing to remember is this time of the year, you don't get too much daylight. So if you do get lost, we can't see you unless you've got flares, or you've got you need emergency equipment on board. You need a VHF radio. You must take life jackets. You must take those provisions in case anything goes wrong. You must, you know, be conscious of the weather, particularly at this time of the year, changing cold. You've got to be conscious of fog. You must check the local weather forecasts if you're going out to sea, and you must take emergency provisions and emergency equipment with you, and you must be conscious of the time and obviously the tide. So some of you will actually be doing your laying up procedures for your vessels now, so you'll be emptying your tanks to make sure or fill your tanks up, sorry, to reduce any condensation in there. Check your insurance, remove your gear from your boat. Anything portable values, take off your boat. Bottle gas and outboard fuel, please remove. Water tanks empty. Flush your toilets through. If you need to unstep your mast, please do so. Electrical batteries, you should really take them off, get them all charged up. Examine your sails and rigging for any damage. Make sure you've got all your emergency equipment. You take that off and you inspect it and you get it tested if necessary. Those are the sort of things I would tell people at this time of year.